Hey there, Ken Bader here, the CEO and co-founder of the Police Officers Credit Union Association. A lot of things to cover, so figured I would do this via video rather than type out a very long email. And particularly, I do truly believe that the last thing we need to do, while we very well need to isolate physically, we do not need to isolate emotionally, visibly, psychologically, and technology today allows us to connect almost as well. Not as well as in person. I do believe that, of course, but almost as well as being in person through Zoom, through Skype, FaceTime, all those other fun things that we have here. So again, I apologize in advance for what will probably be a long video. There's a lot I want to cover, but to cut to the chase, on the 17th Annual Police Officers Credit Union Conference, the in-person portion is going to be rescheduled and postponed. Everything that we can do online and virtually, frankly, is going to be sooner rather than later, and I'll get to that. I do want to stress that it's a postponement and a rescheduling and not a cancellation, and I'll get to that too. How did I come to this conclusion? Well, I received a lot of input from a number of attendees of the conference. And also, I've been bombarding myself with information on what's happening with the coronavirus pandemic. So much so as I continue to sift through information, not only that's available to the general public, but also information from healthcare professionals that I know personally, as well as from other colleagues in terms of what's going on. The information that I'm seeing on the news and so forth is becoming redundant, which leads me to believe that I'm definitely hearing everything that's out there. And before I even continue further, and I apologize, I'm remiss for not beginning with this. For all of your members, law enforcement, and all first responders, my prayers, my blessings, my heart is with all of you. You have a tough job to begin with, and this particular pandemic has made your job in almost every area of the country tougher. So my prayers are with you that you stay safe, you stay healthy out there. And I know that from the police credit unions that are part of the POCUA that I've talked to, they're there for you to continue to make sure that from a financial standpoint that you and your families are being taken care of. So certainly I want to put that out there. But back to the conference and what's happening now. This is being recorded on Friday, March 20th, 2020. In the comments that I originally had received from the first meeting that I held on Monday of this week, there was a very large sentiment and consensus to wait 7 to 10 days before making any decision on the 17th Annual Police Officers Credit Union Conference. And that certainly was my plan. Until last night. Many of you may know that Bader Training and Consulting, the company that runs the Police Officers Credit Union Association and in essence owns the Police Officers Credit Union Association, as well as obviously myself, we're located in California. California went to, they don't want to call it a lockdown or a shutdown. They call it a safer at home program. Where basically, unless it's to go for financial services or medical services or to go and get food, we're required to stay home. Also, many of you may have seen even if you don't live in California, on CNN, CNBC, Fox News, all of those major channels, Governor Gavin Newsom of California made the statement that half or more of the residents of the state of California could be infected with the coronavirus within the next 8 weeks. Personally, I'm not sure if I necessarily agree with that. Part of me is concerned about the panic that that type of statement does possibly offer out there, or foster, I should say. But regardless of my opinion, what I have heard is that is a worst case scenario. It's not a probability, but unfortunately a possibility. So being here in California, and given the fact that most of the conference is run by me, I certainly do have some help. But I would say at least 80% of the conference in terms of coordinating and making sure that that we have a great event is up to me, which I'm more than happy to do and continue to do, frankly. But if that scenario did come true, 8 weeks from now does put us exactly right in the weekend of May 17th through the 19th, which the 17th Annual Police Officers Credit Union Conference is scheduled for at the moment, and will be rescheduled and postponed. I want to repeat, this is not a cancellation. I truly believe that we will get through this. We will get on the other side of this. The question is just a matter of when, not if. Also, everything that I'm hearing, not only from public news, but also from healthcare professionals that I do know, is that yes, we will get on the other side of this. Maybe we'll wind up with a new normal. Who knows? But it's just a matter of when and the timing of it. Based on that, even based upon some of the things that I've heard from the federal government publicly, that the worst case scenario of when we start seeing numbers going in our favor in terms of this pandemic would be right around mid-June. So planning for the worst case scenario, also from a standpoint that if for some reason, which I don't plan on doing, if I should be infected, the last thing I want to do, especially since we do have board members that are registered for the conference that are 65 or over, which are in that main zone where we need to pay extra attention to make sure that they're safe. The last thing I want to do, especially if I happen to be asymptomatic, is infect anybody. I will say this, and thank you to those folks that have asked out there. I am healthy. I am fine. I feel fine. My wife, ironically, who is in the healthcare industry but does not work at a hospital, she works in an office building, which she still goes to and is pretty desolate right now. So that 6 feet is not a problem. So I'm glad that she's healthy as well, and working to help people as well, which both of us will continue to do as long as that is as long as we're capable of doing. And our plan is, of course, to stay healthy and safe throughout this this crisis, so that on the other end of this, when, not if, when it does end, both she and I are able to continue to give service to the people that need it. So the plan for the 17th Annual Police Officers Credit Union Conference. The online and virtual, as I have alluded to before, is going to go on. The vast majority of the agenda that we had planned for the 17th Annual Police Officers Credit Union Conference can be delivered via technology like I'm using right now. So that is my plan. In fact, my plan, as I said in both of the video meetings, and I believe also in at least one of the emails, for everybody that's registered for the 17th Annual Police Officers Credit Union Conference, my intention is to give you exactly the value that you expected or more. So on the more front, I don't want to even wait until May 17th. I don't even want to wait until the pre-training that I originally had planned for April 14th for registrants only, I want to bring the training sooner rather than later, because branding is needed now. Branding is not just marketing and selling in social media. Branding is communicating and getting your image out there. And as I said before, and I may say this a number of times on this video, now is not the time to completely isolate into operations and so forth. Now is the time to be visible. People out there, including law enforcement, want to know what their partners, what their suppliers, what their trusted fiduciaries are doing during this time. So now is not the time to pull back on communication and visibility. Now is the time to do more of that. So the folks that have already been doing that, we need to do more of that. Personally, I'm doing more of that. I've spent more time on Zoom this particular week, more time than ever, because I usually don't do Facebook Live. I've been doing Facebook Lives this week because in all of the arenas that I play, whether it's the credit union industry, entrepreneurial industry, and so forth, all of us have been talking about the fact that we need more leadership right now, and that we need to double down on content. We need to be more visible, especially for those folks that may be at home. I know most of us work with first responders, and they're being very taxed right now, but some of those folks also have spouses that may have been in the restaurant industry, other service-based jobs. They're at home right now. They need to hear from their credit union. So now is not the time to hunker down and be in a corner. Now is the time to be even more visible. If you weren't visible before, now's the time to really do some of these things. I hearken back to being a child in the Tylenol crisis. They didn't hide from that. They were very, very much on the forefront, and that did nothing but help their brand when the crisis was over. If you're going to hide right now, that is not going to be good for your brand when this crisis is over. We need to be visible. So, especially since the content, most of the content for the 17th Annual Police Officers Credit Union Conference, as requested from the last event in the evaluations, is on branding, marketing, and social media, especially branding. Branding isn't just about marketing and selling again. It's about visibility and getting your image out there. This is even more important now. So what I have on my particular to-do list is to offer as soon as possible, if I can, it may even be before the end of March, 2 sessions. One on branding and communication for board members, because there may be a marketing department, but the branding department is the entire organization. And more so than ever, your members need to hear from your board members. Now is not the time to just be on a flip phone. You need to use this technology. This technology is very easy to use, whether it's Zoom or Skype or something else. Order a camera from Amazon or a inexpensive laptop with a camera. As long as you've got a good Wi-Fi connection, this can happen. So we need more communication from our board members during this time, and I want to have a session on exactly what that looks like and things from a board perspective that you can do at this particular time throughout the pandemic. And then also a session on branding and social media for credit union executives. It's very, very important, again, to be visible. I point out, and I will share this in the email, recently did an interview video with one of our POCUA Police Credit Union CEOs, Mary Johnson of Police Federal Credit Union of Omaha, on what their credit union is doing right now during the pandemic. I think we need more of those types of videos. But one of the things that she said, which I thought was truly spot on and needed in this time, is she mentioned that, if our members, if our law enforcement, our first responders are working, then darn it, we're working too. And I think that that's a very, very important message to put out there on social media, via video, and in other ways to do that. So we're going to be holding one way, shape, or form a session on branding and social media for credit union executives during this particular pandemic, temporary crisis, as I like to put it. In terms of, we'll have other sessions that tie directly into the agenda. I plan on having multiple sessions. Again, I want to give you more as registrants of the 17th Annual Police Officers Credit Union Conference, more than value than what you paid for as much as possible. I still plan on holding an in-person 17th Annual Police Officers Credit Union Conference. Don't know exactly when that will be. Right now, I'm looking at August, September, October, unless something really unrealistic happens with this pandemic. And again, I want to stress that everything that I'm hearing from an information standpoint is we will get on the other side of this. One thing that I'm not a doctor, but one thing that may help us with this is the summer. Naturally, there's a reason for a flu and cold season and why it ends. And it doesn't do well with heat, from what I understand. So we need some 80 and 90 degree temperatures out here. Ironically, as I talk to you now from Southern California, it's actually pretty cold here. It's been cold and rainy. That's not what we need, even in March. But anyhow, so my point is that in the summer, we should be in a much better space. I'm already in communication with Landry's that owns Morton's Steakhouse in downtown Denver, where we plan to have the 17th Annual Police Officers Credit Union Conference. I'm also in contact with the Hearth and Dram, where we plan to have the dinner during the 17th Annual Police Officers Credit Union Conference. And I've communicated with them the fact that I don't want to cancel. I simply want to reschedule, especially as it ties to Morton's and the whole Landry's Corporation. The main reason why we use them, Landry's, as our primary source for event space for our programs is they have historically been very supportive of all first responders, including law enforcement. And I believe those types of actions deserve not only our attention, but our business. So unless this is so ridiculously bad, which I don't believe it will be, I have no plans on pulling that business. I want to give the POCUA's business to Morton's and the parent company Landry's, as well as the Hearth and Dram. We made a commitment to them. I certainly want to have the dinner there. It will be as long as everything goes as I do believe that it will, as planned later. We had planned and will continue to plan an awesome dinner for everybody. So I don't have specific dates as to when we will reschedule that. I'm looking at as early as August, maybe as late as October, because I want to make sure, even if we get on the other side of this pandemic, let's say in May or June, that we also get to a point where we have some type of sense of normalcy. Even if we're past the pandemic in June, I don't necessarily want to have the conference in early July and still have restaurant workers and people scrambling and so forth. So my plan is possibly August through October. I don't plan, and I even as of today, there are no plans to cancel the 17th Annual Police Officers Credit Union Conference. There are no plans to make our annual conference a casualty of this. If there is any casualty, it might possibly be the fall collaboration meeting. Doesn't make much sense if we do have to push this to October, that we would also have a fall collaboration meeting. That's usually a small affair anyway. My apologies to all the folks in Ohio. We were planning on having it in Columbus. But that may be, frankly, the only casualty that we have. And maybe there's some things that we can do on that end as well. We'll see. But anyhow, I also want to address a few things in terms of the conference and the POCOA in general. My plan is that, and my priority right now, number one is to all the credit unions that have registered for the 17th Annual Police Officers Credit Union Conference to give you as much or more value than what you had planned. As we continue to provide these sessions that are tied to branding, marketing, and social media, especially what's needed right now during the pandemic, I will certainly put those dates out there. If you can't participate for some reason and you're registered for the conference, communicate with me. I will find one way or another to make sure that you get that content and what you need. And especially if you are registered and you need something that's related to that agenda, please reach out to me. My job here is to help you, to help those that are registered and POCOA members through this crisis as I can. My second priority is to POCOA members, those that are not registered for the conference. These sessions that I plan are specifically for the registrants, the paid registrants for this particular event, because I want to make sure, again, I know that I might sound like a broken record, but I want to stress certain things. I want to make sure that they get as much or more value than what they had paid for. I think that that's extremely important. So if you're not registered, certainly I do care for you, and I want to make sure that we take care of you. But if you haven't already registered, yeah, and you do have an interest in one of these sessions, then just reach out to me individually. I'll see what I can do on that. My first priority is to the people that have registered, to get something and to get that value that's extra. But I certainly want to be cognizant of all of our POCOA credit union members, all of our POCOA business partners, and all of our POCOA police partners, that they also get what they need during this time. Speaking of business partners, I also want to find a way. I have a few notes here. I'm not going to go through all of them. If you're a POCOA business partner, please reach out to me. I'm going to be reaching out to you as well to see what we can do, not only to promote you during this time, because I know a number of you had planned on being with us in Denver in May, but also to be of service. One in particular, Omni Commander, those folks are subject matter experts along with myself in branding, marketing, and social media. So I certainly, one, want their assistance in offering this content during this time, and two, want to make sure that we highlight them as one of our business partners that can provide some assistance at this time. Also want to do the same for our other business partners, whether it's and I apologize if I'm leaving anybody out, but Vero, that offers ID theft and recovery solutions, that very well may be needed now more than ever for your members. There's a lot of scams, unfortunately, that are going on because of this coronavirus pandemic, and I do want to say there's a real special place for you if you're doing a scam now, and I hope that you get there, because that's another level of evil that I can't even comprehend right now. But there unfortunately may be members that need those services. Stiefel is a great business partner. We need to know how to invest during this particular time, which is highly tumultuous. We may need some videos and some assistance there. So certainly, if you have any ideas, I certainly have some ideas on how to give even more exposure to our POCOA business partners out there during this time, using these types of technology sources. So certainly, if you have ideas, I want to hear them. I'm going to share some ideas with you as well. In terms of the 17th Annual Police Officers Credit Union Conference and the refund of that, Fortunately, I've only had a couple of people contact me to request refunds. Let me say this: if your credit union is going to have a hardship by not getting a few $100 or a few $1,000 that you did put towards this conference, that if you don't get that and tomorrow that's going to cause you to have a hardship, then certainly let's talk about it. Nobody that has ever registered for any of our conferences have not been made whole. I've only given out one or two refunds in over 15 years of doing this. In fact, those have been real special situations. Of always, if somebody couldn't attend a particular event, always get them into the next event. Which I'm certainly ready, willing, and able to do. My plan is to have an 18th annual Police Officers Credit Union Conference in May in 2021. Already have a venue picked out, but I'm not going to tell you who that is or what that is. But I do want to say that, from a refund standpoint, if everybody asks for a refund, that will put Bader Training and Consulting in a really rough spot. Bader Training and Consulting, the owner of the Police Officers Credit Union Association, is a small business as well. And I'm not shy about letting you know that although I can provide refunds, I would appreciate, one, your patience, and more importantly, two, being with us during this time, because other pieces of Bader Training and Consulting are really suffering. I do a lot of speaking. All of that has been canceled, so there will not be any income for a while from the speaking area. I also do a lot of consulting. Anything from a strategic planning standpoint that was in person, that's pretty much shut down. Even some of the consulting that I do via Zoom, because of hardships that my clients have been dealing with, that has been temporary postponed, so there's no cash flow coming from that. And through Bader Training and Consulting, I serve service-based businesses. Some of those are restaurants, health and wellness, spa, and obviously all of those sectors that Bader Training and Consulting serves are hurting pretty badly right now. So there's no cash flow coming from that. So can the POCUA offer refunds on the 17th Annual Police Officers Credit Union Conference? To a certain extent, yes. I would ask you, after watching these videos, or this particular video, and knowing that we're going to be giving as much or more value than what you originally registered for, I would encourage you to stay with us, especially because we need everybody right now. One of the reasons that I am putting on these sessions online is because we need more camaraderie, more collaboration. We need more of this. We need more visibility. Even though we may isolate physically, we need less isolation in terms of visibility and in terms of being together. So whether you're a $1 billion police credit union that's a member of the POCUA, or just a few $1 million police credit union that's a member of the POCUA that have registered for this conference, we need you all together here to be able to support each other and to support law enforcement out there. So certainly, after you watch this video, after you maybe communicate with me, if you absolutely positively need a refund because it's going to be a hardship on your credit union, great, let's talk about it and let's see what we can do. If not, I encourage you to be a part of what we're doing, and also, I appreciate your support, not only being a part of the conference and what we'll be doing online, but in other areas, because frankly, Bader Training and Consulting can use it. I mentioned a video that I did as an interview with Mary Johnson at Police Federal Credit Union of Omaha. I am offering that to all of my clients, and not only in the credit union industry but beyond, because I think that we need more communication now. even working with some restaurants that, although they're closed to dine-in service, are doing some great things in terms of delivering food to children that are out of school, delivering food or providing food to elderly that really need it right now. And that type of branding needs to be embraced. People need to know about the great things that you're doing right now. So I'm simply charging $125 for those interview videos. It takes me, even if it's just a 10-minute video, it takes me about an hour to edit and do some things. So that's the least that I can offer that for. If you want one of those videos, one, I think that that's a darn good idea, and two, that would help my business out as well. So would appreciate you being on board to doing that, and I certainly enjoy doing that work and can get that out for you sooner rather than later right now. So would appreciate that. So on that, I think that I have covered just about everything at this particular moment. Again, I will let you know the dates that we will be rescheduling. The in-person portion, we'll be doing the online portion sooner rather than later. If I can possibly roll out the 2 sessions that I talked about, branding and communication during the pandemic for board members, and branding and social media for credit union executives to the registrants of the 17th Annual Police Officers Credit Union Conference. If I could roll those out before the end of March, I will certainly do that. And will certainly communicate with anybody that can't make a particular session that is registered to make sure that you get that information because you are registered. If you're not registered for the 17th Annual Police Officers Credit Union Conference at this time, for the moment, I'm not taking any more registrants for that because of the ambiguity of what we're dealing with. But if you see a session that you say, hey, I could really use that type of assistance, I'm not going to put it out there to register for that, but seek me out. Let me know that you are interested in that. And of course, if you're a POCUA member, I will do whatever I can to make sure you get that content and get the help that you need. Probably not complimentary because registrants have paid for this type of education. So we need to be fair on that. But also, I'm not going to, as some of our toilet paper hoarding folks out there, I'm not going to charge $25 for a toilet paper roll. I'm not going to charge $2,500 for a 1 or 2 hour session either. That's going to help you. So we'll work that out. To the non-members that may be watching this, that are police credit unions that are serving first responders out there that are not or even have never been a part of the Police Officers Credit Union Association. This is the time to be together, to not be isolated. The whole credit union industry, from what I remember since 1993 when I was in this, was all about people helping people, and people need help right now. So if you want to be a part of what we're doing, be a part of the collaboration, be a part on what we will continue to build after this pandemic, reach out to me. There may be a way to very well get you involved. And I truly believe there's never been a better time to be a part of this type of an association. I've seen this before and I'm seeing this right now. I said this in an interview that I did yesterday on Reinvention Radio, that it amazes me. It probably shouldn't, but it does amaze me that over 80% of the examples that I see, even from people that aren't normally leaders, really stepping up and showing some great leadership qualities at this time. I think that for the most part, this pandemic is bringing out the best in people. Certainly, 10%, 1 out of every 10 or less, are going to take advantage of this particular situation. If you're one of those people, I implore you not to do that. This is the time to step up and not be a problem but to be a part of the solution. So to any of the financial institutions out there that serve first responders, particularly law enforcement, that haven't been a part of what we're doing before and want to be a part of this, not only during this pandemic, but afterwards, in what we can offer collectively to law enforcement and to each other. I'm all ears, and can even do this via video. So certainly am more willing than ever to hear from you. But anyhow, again, I apologize for a very long video. I've had a lot to say. If I can sum up, I want to stress that we're all in this together. I do truly believe in my mind, in my heart, that we're going to get past this. We're going to get through this. And we're going to get through this even better. From a law enforcement standpoint, I see a lot of people that wouldn't normally work together working together. Maybe as bad as this is, maybe this is what we need to end some of the divisiveness, or maybe all of the divisiveness that we've seen over recent years. That we realize that whether we're wearing a badge, regardless of what color we are, coronavirus will attack everybody, whether you have a badge or not. So this is the time to be together. So maybe that's one good thing that we can take out of this, and come out on the other end and be much better for it. But again, couple points. This is not a cancellation; it's a postponement. And a rescheduling. I have reached out to both Morton's and the Hearth and Dram. Obviously, given the fact that they're closed right now, Denver restaurants are shut down until May 11th. I have not heard back from them yet, which is not a surprise. I certainly hope that they're safe and healthy. But we'll be working with them to reschedule the 17th Annual Police Officers Credit Union Conference. Also want to stress now it may very well be the time to isolate physically. Now is not the time to isolate visibly, emotionally, or psychologically. Use these types of tools to connect with me, to connect with your fellow POCUA police credit unions and your members. And last, here's my prayer and my distinct hope that all of you that are watching this video stay safe, stay healthy, and again, thank you to all of our first responders out there. If you need me for anything, you know how to get a hold of me. Contact me directly on my direct line, which is 630-854-6380, or via my email, kbator, BATOR, @policecreditunions.net. Again, stay safe, stay healthy. God bless.